Hi everyone, here's a video from my classic Amiga line of videos. It's following on from some videos I did in the past about this A1000. I did in fact 3 of them in 2010. There was a two-parter for the 25th anniversary of the Amiga. And I also did another one which was, I did an example of DCTV 24-bit animation playback with a speech from J Minor. And it just to show what was potentially possible back in the day on a very old machine like that, which was absolutely groundbreaking. So that was the second video. The third video, accelerated Amiga 1000 from 1985, Dreams of Vampires. And that video was, I had it was an accelerated 1000. I'd done some bits and pieces and I tried to show what the Amiga 1000 was capable of back in the day. It had a couple of modern parts, but it was still at that kind of performance level. So that was one of my favourite videos I've done, next to the 3000 video I did. But now that dream has obviously come true, and she now has a vampire in her, and so that's what this video is about, to show you what she's capable of now, based on this amazing product from the Apollo team. But first, if you like the videos I create, please consider becoming a Patreon, as it greatly helps. And also, if you have time, please watch the end of this video, which is my advert. It's about my products, my company. So if you could watch that, I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much. Oh, also, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. Thanks very much. Okay, so before I do this video, I'm going to give you a small piece of history. If you've read David Pleasance's book, my history is in one of the chapters in his first book. But just a little background. I purchased this Amiga 1000, this actual Amiga 1000, in 1987-88. The year is kind of, I'm not sure which year it was, but I had an Amiga 500 originally, because this was my dream machine around 1985-1986 when it came over, I think, to the UK about 86. It was my dream machine. It was totally my dream machine, but I had to wait for the A500 because I had a young family and I couldn't afford to spend the money that was being asked for this. So I purchased the Amiga 500 from a dealer in Harrow, and I got friendly with one of the developers that worked out the back, and he had this Amiga 1000 which he'd purchased to develop software on it, and he released a couple of products. I don't know what they are, to be fair, but he'd been doing development work on this in machine code, and he was kind of like a bit of a hero because of the work he was doing. And he said to me, "You always wanted a 1000. Would you like to buy it?" And that was a stupid question, and so I spoke to my wife, and he gave me such a nice price on it. Thankfully, my wife agreed. As you know, these things are important to check. But also he had a 14 megabyte hard drive, SCSI hard drive, and so what I used to do was I kept the 500 and the 1000, and I had them separated, and they were both side by side. I don't remember if I had 1 or 2 monitors. I think I may have had 1 monitor and shared it between the two, but I had this 40 megabyte SCSI hard drive in between the two machines, and they both had a SCSI interface. And they were both able to use the same hard drive. Now, I obviously knew that you don't want to be running a search or anything on the hard drive on the same time. But it worked, and I could use both machines sharing the same drive, which was absolutely wonderful. So that's basically, and I used this for a lot of things. I did 3D work on there. I was into Videoscape. I did a lot of 3D graphics on it. Nothing really particularly good, to be honest, but I did that, and I used Sculpt, and I absolutely loved doing that. I was inspired by the Juggler demo, obviously. And so this machine did an awful lot of work for me. But I also I got a chance to do a demonstration for a big architect firm in London. 3D was not really the thing mainstream there for general use, and I wanted to try and make a living creating 3D graphics, and so I built this demonstration, and they gave me some plans of a building they were making, and so over a period of about 2 weeks I built this demonstration showing someone approaching their building, going up the glass elevator, coming out the other end, and they were absolutely amazed by it. I took the 500 with that because of the chip RAM. It had 1 mega chip. I think, did it have 1 mega chip? That was a good question. But I took the 500 with me, and as soon as they saw that, they were blown away by the actual demonstration, and I could have probably done well out of this if I pursued it. But unfortunately, they said we can't do anything with you because it's on an Amiga. So I left very disappointed for obvious reasons, as we know this story. They couldn't reproduce what I'd shown them. They just couldn't do it, and they admitted it. But they couldn't go to the board and ask for some money to pay someone who's going to develop on a games machine. So that's where it started for me, that annoyance. But yeah, so between the two machines, I created all this work. I didn't take the 1000 because it was a lot bigger and bulky, and plus I didn't want to get it damaged on the trip up there. But yeah, the demo went, amazed them, but nothing came out of it. Anyway, so some of you are aware I set up a company called Checkmate. I'm not going to go for the history in this. But my involvement with developing Amiga hardware went up to about the year 2000, and then everything went pear-shaped. Again, I'm not going to cover that. But I was in a bad, dark place. I threw out all my Amiga gear and got rid of it all, except this. It was boxed up, and it was put in the garage, and it stayed in the garage for 10 years. It took me a long time to get over that. But then I took her out one day, and I decided I wanted to see if she was alright, and I took her apart, and I removed the bugs. Basically, it was full of cobwebs and spiders and God knows what else, lunch for the spiders. And once I got that all out and I cleaned her up, and I was a bit worried about her. I took the lid off the power supply and cleaned everything out of it, and this is the days before we worried about caps as well. And I was concerned about her, but anyway, once it's all clean, it's all dry, then I powered her on, and she booted straight away. And I'm terrified of saying this, but for obvious reasons, but she's been reliable ever since. Now I don't use her all the time, obviously, but she is literally my favourite machine. Yeah, so I suppose I should mention I gave her a suntan. A lot of people like to, and I'm not criticising, a lot of people like to retro bright their old computers. I don't like the idea of soaking in any kind of chemicals, so I was never going to do that, so I never went down that road. But somebody I spotted came up with this theory of, what if you stuck it outside in the sun? And there was a lot of people doing it, and they were putting their computers outside in the sun. They were having good results with it. Basically, it's reversing, because the theory goes that when the light comes through the windows, the glass, it changes it. I'm not technical, okay, but it changes and it affects the plastics and makes them go yellow. Now, she had suffered quite a bit of yellowing, and it was quite patchy in places. But I didn't want to touch her because I was worried about it. So I've got some Amiga 500 cases upstairs, and I had some other computers that were, let's say, less important to me, and I put them out in the sunshine, and the results were great, and I was very pleased. So when we had that heat wave, not on the 40-degree day, but a couple of the 30-degree days a few weeks back, I stuck her out for a couple of days and kept an eye on her, and she's come up absolutely beautiful. And more to the point, not so much because I didn't want her to go completely white like she was originally, but I wanted her to just be more even. And what it did is it evened out everything, and it took away all those little patches, and it just made her. Let's get that one. It just made her look absolutely amazing. Right, so in the last video I did, it was Dream of Vampires. And so I had a contact from, because everybody, if you've seen my video on the vampire, which I'll put the picture up, the vampire's an amazing product, absolutely amazing product. And the work that the whole of the Apollo team have done is outstanding. My minor issue is the cost. I've mentioned this before, but I because there was a new versions coming out, but I couldn't justify spending that much money to upgrade her. However, I did get a contact. I can't remember if it was I contacted them or I heard about it. Anyway, they had a small batch of V2 vampires going for about £200-ish, just over £200. I snapped one up instantly. It was an absolute no-brainer. And so I bought one of them. Now this was quite a while back, probably, I'm not sure if it was this year or last year, but so I've had the vampire in her for quite a long time. And she's transformed. I mean, she ran well before, but you know, this video is basically can you use her today? You know, with modern needs, and so I'm going to be discussing that. But absolutely transformed her, and I love her even more. Not much more I can say about that. I would say I'd be buried with her, but I'm not going to be. I'm going to be cremated, and we're not having that. So, but no, I will keep this until it probably will be the last computer I'll own, because even now, I mean, if whilst I'm not retired, if I was retired, do you know I probably could do just about most things that I would need to do. I can do on this. Which is quite outstanding for a machine that's 37 years old. The addition of a small board. Now let me talk about my vampire, because I know that people are going to instantly say, "Oh, Amiga's dead. It's just a keyboard and a floppy disk, and that's it." No, that's rubbish. Don't fall into that trap. As has been mentioned many times. There's two streams. There was the V3 software, the cores, and the V2. I don't think V3 really actually did anything on these old V2 vampires. It's more for the V4 vampires and the going forward streams. But I always stuck with the core 2s, and the reason for that was this: it was a 6880 accelerator card. It had a 24-bit RTG system. It also had Ethernet on board, and it had a higher speed IDE interface. So she basically is pretty well souped up, and that 200. I mean, I would have paid up to 300. I thought 450, 500 was a bit too much, but 250 to me was an absolute no-brainer. So that she is now how she's going to stay. I mean, I reckon I also have a wonderful warp board, but that is a very good product, and I do like it a lot. But I think for one thing, there's obviously again a cost issue. But I think for this, I thought the vampire. I hope the Apollo team. And this is nothing against the Warp team, because I think the Warp product is amazing, but I've got that in my 500. Okay, so but I hope that the Apollo team will take this as my very small compliment that I love this machine more than anything, and I put a vampire in it. Okay, so what should you like to run now? I think the first thing I need to cover is the big thing that comes up with everybody. Everyone says the same thing. Oh, you can't do nothing on the Amiga 1000 because it's only got 512k chip RAM. Now, if you watch the previous video that I did on this, The Dreams of Vampires, you'll see that I had high-res interlace Scala running a demonstration. I had videos, I was doing gen locking, I was doing all kinds of things. And I found that actually that with RTG, it absolutely does transform this machine, because any software that runs within the Amiga's operating system correctly is an RTG, so the chip RAM's not an issue. It's just not an issue. So anything to do with RTG is fine. If you're playing games, well, I suppose the first thing is not AGA, so therefore you can't run any of the AGA games. You can't run any of the AGA demos. However, the Vampire can run a lot of Vampire-specific demos. But of course, you can run all those old OCS demos. All those programs that will run, I use WHD load on this. And what I found is that, yes, there are a lot of demos that say I need 1 meg of chip RAM, okay? And I think, look, I'm not saying it definitely, but I think that is laziness with some of these. Oh, there's not enough chip RAM there. Because I've seen far more complex demos done and that will run in 0.5 meg of chip RAM, right? And some of them say, oh no, I need 1 meg of chip RAM, right? That's just, so, you know, it's fine. It's called a delete bin, right? When it comes to games, there's the same kind of attitude, I think. Now, I know that 512k can be a limitation, but if you're clever, as some demo coders have proved, it's not if you're clever. So, yeah, there are a lot of old OCS demos, or probably ECS, where they've just got, oh no, I need 1 meg of chip RAM. Well, again, that's what the delete button's for. But there's loads of demos that run on here, and I can boot from here and come straight back to here. And they work great. So if you're doing things like dpaint, or if you're doing Brilliance or anything like that, graphics applications, obviously you can only do 32 colours. You're on them limitations. But then likewise, I can just run up Perfect Paint. I could run up now. Let's just get one going here. So yeah, it might say to me, oh, you can only have 32 colours. All right, okay. Well, I'll find a program that's going to work for me. Let me just do this. Here we go. I've now got a 24-bit paint package on an Amiga 1000. It's not having a problem with chip RAM. There we go, trying to find the mouse pointer because it shrinks quite a lot. Right, let's see if I can find something in it. Right, what have we got? Okay. Pictures, have we got anything that's... Let's see if we can find something that's... this one's quite nice. There we go. That's a 24-bit graphic, and it's a 24-bit paint package, and this is a 37-year-old computer. I think this might be 35, but we'll call it a 37-year-old computer. Let's grab this, with a 24-bit brush. Now, obviously, a lot of this is made. This is made possible because of the Vampire, because it's got really high speed 6880 processor on it. It's got 24-bit RTG that runs really nice, but I am still able to use, I'll come to this, but I'm still able to use my Amiga chipset. All the chips on there are all working, all fine, okay? But I've got this, so let's say, for example, let's grab a great big brush. Okay, now you see that thing's just moving around the screen. I'll clear this. I used to do this as a demo all the time just to show the power of things. Right, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get that brush and I'm just going to paste it down. See? There we go. The chip RAM's not a problem, is it? And there's a load of 24-bit programs on here. I just, you know, I know people make the... Well, the trouble is, what happens is that, because the early 500s and 2000s have the same problem, but the difference with them, you could upgrade, but you can't upgrade the 1000. And I hear people say this all the time, but it's just, as long as you work within it, and RTG really helps, because what you have to understand is, if you boot Workbench with the Amiga 1000, it eats a lot of chip RAM, maybe like a couple of 100K of chip RAM. You are low, about 300. But when you use an RTG, you're not. And that's, let me just see on here. So I'm booted up and I've got 437K of chip RAM spare. I've got a massive display. So having that RTG actually really helps. Is it going to be the computer that you're going to do everything in Amiga to do? Of course not. I mean, but you can replace those programs with ones that are system friendly, properly written, run on here as you just saw with that. I mean, I've also got 128 mega RAM on this thing. It's just crazy. So yeah, it's she is pretty fast. One other thing that I absolutely love. Now you notice I'm not going through a demo to show you all the applications, because in the last one I went through applications, and I will do the SysInfo. But now one thing that I've always been amazed by. Right, I've got the now. Let me just yeah. Let's find right now. I don't think I'm going to get a strike on this because I think this is a public domain piece of software, and I'll probably stop it shortly. But the great thing is that this is this is an MP3 being played by the Amiga 1000 and going through the Paula chip, and it's got this thing called, don't ask me how it works, but it converts it from an 8-bit output to a 14-bit output. And my ears aren't that good, so I can't tell the difference between this and 16-bit. Let me stop this just in case. So I can play my MP3s on this Amiga 1000, and they sound great. I suppose one question you might ask. What's this monitor? Watch the end of the video, there's details about it there. But this is the prototype monitor that you've probably heard of. I may actually put a barcode up here so you can, you know, have a look at that, get information on that. Back to this anyway. So you've basically got this absolutely wonderful machine with 24-bit graphics, and if you want to do things like let's find, say you want to type a letter and you've got this old software still. Oh, I've got nothing in it. You've got a word processor basically, and you know it's there and it works there. This is what I mean by if you've got software that's, if most of your software is well written, and I don't mean that, actually that's not fair, because things like Scala and the Video Toaster broke all the rules, you know, that there was, but that it was important to get the best out of the machine. But the bulk of professional software will just run on this, the RTG. Now a lot of like the TV Paint was written for RTG. Actually it wasn't RTG actually back then, it was written for 32-bit graphics cards. In fact, it was written for, you know, the Harlequin, which had a transparency layer. So there was 24-bit graphics and 8-bit transparency, and that was just absolutely amazing. So you could genlock it if you had all the setup, and it cost thousands back then. But you know, we've got the benefit of software now. TV Paint is now being released to the public, so it's absolutely wonderful. I don't want to do that. I want to. Yes, I do want to quit program. So basically, I now have an absolutely fantastic machine. Now, what else would I want to do with this? Oh, okay, I might want to browse the web. Now, here's an area where you get to an interesting subject, because now this is running iBrowse, and I'm hoping one day that OWB, which is on Morphos, AROS, and Amiga OS 4, which is based on WebKit, will be ported. Now, from my understanding, it's too big a job to port to 68K. So maybe it never comes. But in the meantime, we've got iBrowse. Now, iBrowse it does not support style sheets, so you can't visit modern sites. But for example, it's great if you want to go to basic sites. I mean, there's Aminet. Of course, let's give them an advert. There's the Apollo team. They've made their site work. But also, now this is a shameless advert. Now, some of you know, may or may not know actually, that for the last 15 years I've been writing software, internet software, and one of my products was called Document Master. And Document Master was a document management, electronic records and document management system. It was a fairly big enterprise system. But the one thing in it, it was originally, when I first started writing it, the interface was designed for HTML4. And obviously we moved into, and if you look at my shop site, which is advertised at the end, it's all style sheet based, and that's powered by the same engine that's powering this. The difference is that with this piece of software, I maintained the HTML4 compatibility through the content management system that you can see here, and also in the tools. Now, yeah, so I'm thinking of releasing this software so that if you wanted to create a website that will run in something like iBrowse on Amiga, or some of the HTML4 only browsers on other retro platforms, it will give you a way of publishing to those computers, which at the moment is quite tricky, and you have to hand roll it. Now, this does not have to be hand rolled. Now, it's a document management system, so you have folders and you have stories. And it's basically for that kind of information. There's also communication, a whole load of other stuff in there. But for just publishing documents and stories and that kind of thing, in a nice layout, and the layout can be modified. But again, that's not what I'm doing now. I want to show that this is possible. But also the fact that you can see one of my latest stories. Jan Beta did an absolutely fantastic review of my Checkmate 1500 Plus with an Amiga 500 inside it, and so of course you can see the story. So all of my stories that go on in now, you can't order from this. It's not a shop, because that was done in a more modern setup. But for all the stories that I publish on there are available through this. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, come back to me. But the bottom line is, here we have iBrowse, okay, and it's running in its own screen, okay, quite happily. Oh, there's TV Paint again. So yeah, it's capable of running a number of websites, but of course you can't visit your modern websites because unless they've got, like my software's got an HTML4 rendering engine, it's just not going to work. But yeah, so that's something else we can do on here. Okay, I suppose people want to know how fast is it, right? So let's do the speed. Get it out of the way. Now bear in mind, this is the latest version, which knows all about the vampire. Now, interesting point. All I have to do is switch to VGA, because on this monitor internally there's a SCART conversion. I'm not going to go through it on here, but you can see it on my site. It can import, or it can display SCART, RGB SCART, and composite and component, all kinds of stuff. But at the moment it's on a manual switch, so you'll see me when I switch backwards and forwards. Hopefully we'll automate this at some point, but this is hopefully going to come to Kickstarter soon. Anyway, back to this. So what we have here is SysInfo 4.3. Let's run the speed test. There you go. So now what we have is it's 254 times faster than an A600, standard 600. 200 times, just 192 times faster than 68,000. But interestingly, it's 29 times faster than the A3000 and just over 7 times faster than the 6840. So if you can't read that, 140 MIPS, 74 M-flops, which is great that it's got a floating point. And chip speed is 3.5 times 600. Now, basically what that means is it's a great system. Now, this here is displayed by the Amiga chips. Okay? So all that is coming out from the Amiga's chips. Now let's go into drives. Okay, now to speed of that, I'm sure the Apollo team will appreciate this, that I've got this set to high speed. And as you can see, just under 8 megabytes a second, which is pretty amazing for an Amiga. And that you notice that when you're booting everything up. So it makes this machine, I mean, absolutely outstanding. I had individual computers, 500 plus, ACA 500 plus, let's get it right. And she got about 2 megs a second, and she was 6820, and she performed nice. But of course, now I've got RTG and I've got everything. I've got Ethernet. You know, it's just wonderful machine. So it's absolutely fantastic. So let me quit out of that. Now, again, it's hopefully we will make that automatic at some point, but it can only be done by the infrared. So we're going to have to be quite clever with that one. I'll save that for Appy for later. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to run Octamed version 4. There was obviously later versions that are RTG friendly. But I want to show the Amiga sound, and so there's no confusion that it's going to go through the Amiga's chips. Okay, right. So let's go and find it. Music, Octamed 4. Switch to VGA. The Amiga's not outputting VGA. When I say VGA, it means the RGB SCART is fed into the internal VGA in this monitor. Files, and let's bring it back up again, and let's get DH1 music mod, load that. Right, so we've got that in now. Now let's play it. Yeah, I like these old. I like these old tracker programs. I just really do. So if I'm playing mods, I prefer to play it on the trackers because, yeah, it just makes me smile. Because back in the day, you know, no one else could do this, and we was doing this quite happily, and it was amazing. And Fairlight quality. And if you don't know what Fairlight is, look it up. They used to cost £20,000-30,000, and then the Amiga came along, and you could do it on the same quality, 4 tracks, for whatever the Amiga cost. But yeah, so there you go. Now, let's switch that over. So while that's playing in the background, I've obviously still got my Amiga running, and look, this is an Amiga 1000. I can still do stuff here. Let's do another one. Oh, hang on. Let's do. Okay, right. Right. I've got all the things messed up. But look, it's still working. And let's go back to. Oh no, hang on. No, of course. Let's switch it to that. Oh, that's why it wouldn't work. Obviously, it wasn't going to work. Oh. Let's find the right screen. I may edit it out, I may not. Yeah, so, but look, it's working, and you've still got access. You can still run other applications. Obviously, the reason was, I'm really impressed with this. But this would have run on an original Amiga 1000 anyway. You don't need a vampire for that. But let's stop that now, and then we'll quit out of this. Nice little warm-up sound. I do like that. Right, now something else you can do on this is you can also play video. So let's run up the video. Here we go. So it's got this Reaver player. Okay, right. So I'm gonna have to do this without audio, which is quite because I haven't got any videos on here that won't get a strike. So look, it plays audio beautifully, and everyone knows that about the vampire. But let's just let's play this. So you can all sing along with this. It's all about the bass. I think you know that one. Now you notice it's actually doing it in for free, but I can obviously tweak the monitor to switch it into 16:9. There you go. Yeah, so if you want to watch it in 16:9, because of course this monitor is meant to be for free. That's how it's laid out. But let's put this back into. Okay. Well, there you go. So yes, it'll play video, and the sound is really good, and it's something like 630 by 370 or something like that. So it's actually really nice to be able to play videos on it, and I have created a few. Unfortunately, I've got them on my other vampire machine, which is my 2000 sitting over there. I've just got a vampire in it. I've actually got a couple I could have played. But look, it does that. So that she'll play video, she'll play high quality music. You can do Amiga music, you can do 24-bit graphics, you can type a letter, you can surf the web kind of, but all the important stuff, all for retro fans. Anything HTML4 you can view, but also you can do this, which I think is now. It also makes an absolutely fantastic Macintosh emulator. I mean, it runs really well. Now, if you saw Neil from RMC The Cave, he did the video of what's the best Mac. I forget, is it which is better, the Macintosh running on a Mac or an Amiga? And it was the Amiga was slightly faster. And so with the Vampire, this thing runs stupid speed. Now I'm probably going to have to edit this because I'm probably going to pick something that's the wrong kind of thing to play. But let's have a look at. Let's see if I can find Prince of Persia. See what we get with that. Here we go. Now I've got the display at 1024/768. And let's have a look. Here we go. Now, as you can see, so now this is running on the Mac emulator. This is Shapeshifter. I have no idea what you do with this, but apparently you kind of go. There you go. Is he going to go up there? Oh, press the right key, mate. Oh, sorry, mate. There you go. Is it up? Yes. Okay, right. Oh, no, we go down there. Look, it works. Here we go. It's a Mac. It runs Mac software. I think that's quite impressive. Of course, you know, then you've got, there's an Amiga and there's a Mac. And this is all running on Amiga 1000. 35 years old, the original Amiga. And by the addition of that one small card, it gave me 120, instead of half a meg of chip RAM, which is all she had, and I've expanded it in the past in different ways, but she now has 128 meg of RAM, still the half meg of chip RAM. She has a 6880 processor. Don't worry about the number, but basically it's probably 2 or 3 times faster than the 6860. And they're probably going to moan because I didn't check those figures, but it was 7.5 times faster than a 4040 running at 25 megahertz. There you go. That's probably a better way of putting it. and beautiful 24-bit graphics. Now she will go up to 1280 by 1024 or 1280 by 720. Can't do 1920 by 1080p, but I don't care. I like, obviously, this is my monitor project. I'm trying to bring this to market soon, so I like the 4:3 aspect ratio. Right, in case you're wondering what the monitor looks like from the side, you see there's those great big 3-inch speakers, which are not, the sound is not being fed through the speakers in this video. I've got it going through external ones, but they sound great. Watch the video on the subject. As you can see on the back, there's all the inputs. So you've got these 3 pods bays. Go and look at the video about it, but I just wanted to show you, because after all, you know, these videos are also about promoting my my projects. So what we have here is an Amiga 1000 that has been absolutely supercharged, and I can continue to use her. Yes, I can play old demos. I'll give you an example. Let's go and find some demos. Okay, so I'm not really a games player, as a lot of you probably know. What I like is demos. So let's pick one that I particularly like. Let's go something that comes in. Tell you what, DOS. No, actually, why don't I play the one that I got, one of my favourite first demos that I really liked, and this is called Demons. So basically, this is being played on the Amiga's chipset. Now, I don't know if you can see this is as smooth as that is. I mean, it's absolutely perfectly smooth, but that's being run from the Amiga's chipset. The Vampire isn't really doing anything on this, so you still have that machine at the bottom. It's still there, and you can use everything about it. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. And again, I love it to bits. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and you can see her now that she's from the last video, which I would have put links up so you can see the previous videos. She's still, well, let me just stop this, there you go, and then flip her back. Hopefully that you enjoyed this video anyway, and you can see how much I love it. And now that I can't see me wanting to really do anything else with her, because she's, in my mind, she's pretty much perfect. The heart and soul of the 1000 is still there. All I've done is put a faster processor in and a graphics card and a network controller, and that's literally all I've done, which we would have done gladly back in the day. And if you're offended by me not using 1.3, I give a toss. Why? I can still run 1.3 if I wanted, but you know, I want it to run the latest version of the operating system, and I think she does that beautifully. So there you go. Don't even think of making offers for it. But yeah, thanks so much. I'll see you soon. The Checkmate 1500 Mini and Plus cases are mostly engineered and manufactured in the UK. They're designed to give a nice retro-inspired vibe on your desktop. The 1500 Plus is the biggest of the cases, and designed to be able to take much bigger motherboards inside. So this can take a micro ATX as well as mini ITX if you want to build a PC. But also, with the correct rear panel, you can fit an Amiga 500, an Amiga 1200 and an Amiga 600 and build your ultimate Amiga rig. The Mini is designed to take mini ITX motherboards, but don't think that limits you. Yes, you can build a PC, but also you can put in many custom motherboards from the retro scene, like the Mystics, which takes a DE10 Nano, one of our DE10 Nano fitting kits, a fitting kit for the Raspberry Pi 4, and other systems that are coming on stream right now. The Checkmate Garage was inspired by our new monitor developments. The reason being, if you've got a 500, 1200, an Atari ST, BBC Micro, or any of the all-in-ones, It's nice to be able to put the monitor directly above and tidy up your system. However, exciting new product is our new range of monitors, 17 and 19 inch retro inspired monitors with loads of input, but also capable of taking an all-in-one computer internally. The monitor will come to Kickstarter hopefully August, September time. If you want to go on the mailing list telling you when it's ready, please point your camera at this QR code and it will take you to the page, which will then allow you to press a button to add yourself to the mailing list. The monitor is an important part of this company's strategy. Large amounts of development work are being done and it will be like nothing you've ever seen. So hopefully it will pique your interest and you'll back us on the Kickstarter. Let's come to Patreon. Patreon is a very important part of this project. What we're planning with Patreon is, if you are a Patreon backer, whatever you've invested in Patreon to help us, we will put up to 5% of an order. So you get an extra 5%, but that's the whole order. Doesn't matter what you've ordered. It doesn't even matter if you don't back us on Patreon anymore. Hopefully you'll come back, but we'd want to show our gratitude to all those who backed us in the past. You'll see their names ticking by in this video. But I also know this is not just about people wanting discounts on products. They want more content from myself. So what you're going to see is a lot more videos from me, because now that I am full-time on this project, I'll have more time to spend on it. So I can give you videos of my computers. You'll notice I do have a reasonable collection and I'm going to talk you through them. This is something that was at the top of the list for people who back me on Patreon. Not everyone does it to back the new projects. So how come I've got more time? Well, for the last 15 years I've worked for a company called Web Labs, and they've been absolutely fantastic. In fact, none of these products would have existed, and I'm going to stick their logo up here. I want to thank them, and going forward we'll probably still work with Web Labs and do some further development. But ultimately I want to concentrate on this project and hopefully make a success of it. And let's hope I can be doing this for many years to come.